to my review of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stardust Crusaders episode 36, part 1 of Hol Horse and Boingo. Well, it's technically Boingo, but you know, copyright and all that. Now, the episode didn't start off as funny and goofy. It actually started off very serious with Hol Horse paying a visit to Dio. He tells him about what happened to Alessi and Mariah, but I don't think Dio really cared. In fact, he was more concerned as to why Hol Horse didn't go and try to kill Jotaro and the others. He's not very happy that he failed twice, so he's giving him another chance to kill them for him. Otherwise, he will kill him. Hol Horse does not take this lightly. In fact, he gets very angry and decides to shoot Dio in the back of his head with Emperor. But before he got the chance to shoot, or maybe he did shoot her and we didn't see it, Dio disappears and shows up right behind Hol Horse, which was pretty tense, I'm not gonna lie. Now, he actually praises Hol Horse for being calm when he tried to shoot him. His breathing was even, he wasn't sweating, even though earlier he was scared of Dio just by his sheer presence alone. But this was enough to spare Hol Horse's life, and because of that, he admits defeat and decides to pledge his loyalty to him, because before he was just in it for the money. Now, he apparently kidnapped Boingo and stuffed him in a suitcase back in Aswan, and he arrives by plane to Cairo. Before we got to the taxi scene, there was this one minor scene with Hol Horse getting into this minor scuffle with these two guys that try to steal his taxi. But he shoots one of them in the ear, so problem solved, I guess. In the taxi scene, he lets go of Boingo, unties him, and persuades him to join forces so that they can take on Jotaro and the others. Boingo agrees to work with Hol Horse, but when the tape from his mouth was removed, he then starts puking on Hol Horse because he was airsick. It was very disgusting, and Hol Horse just lets it happen. Oh god, that was really nasty. But even though they were working together, Hol Horse was a bit skeptical on Tohth and its predictions. Or is it Tato? I don't know how you pronounce the name. I heard it was like pronounced differently. One of its predictions was that Hol Horse kicks the woman at the back of her neck and she was happy and gives Hol Horse jewelry. Yeah, I don't blame Hol Horse for not believing in Tohth, because one of the problems I have with this stand is that sometimes its predictions are very vague. But Boingo does tell him that the predictions are 100% accurate. But when the woman was passing by, Hol Horse resisted at first because he has certain standards or a certain sense of honor when it comes to women. Sure, he can use, lie, and manipulate women, but when it comes to hurting them, he does not do that. Whether they be ugly or beautiful, he does not lay a finger on a woman. Yeah, I guess that's good that he has a certain sense of honor when it comes to women. But eventually he relents and kicks the woman in the back of the neck, which it turns out that she had a scorpion on her neck. So she assumed that Hol Horse saw the scorpion and saved her life and decided to give her this necklace as a reward. So I guess that's enough proof for Hol Horse that Tohth will definitely work on his favor. So we cut back to Jotaro and the others who were still looking for Dio's hideout. And they were getting closer, but they were told by this one architect guy that they had to go south. Okay, they at least know where they have to go, but they still don't know where the building is. Not only that, but Joseph received some news that Holly's condition has gotten even worse, and that she has about 3 to 4 more days left to live. Okay, how many days has it passed since they arrived in Cairo? Because last time we heard about her condition, she had about 2 weeks, but that was like around episode 25, I believe. So it must have been like, what, 10, 11 days since they got to this current point? So yeah, they're seriously running out of time, but at least they're getting closer. Now, Hol Horse and Boingo were aware that they were getting closer to Dio, and they had to do something right away. This is where the second prediction comes in. According to Tohth, Hol Horse has to stick his fingers up Polnareff's nose, and then the group would fall unconscious bleeding, giving Hol Horse the opportunity to kill them. What? I mean, this is very far-fetched and very hard to believe. I know that Tohth is a stand that can predict the near future, but apparently it didn't predict the events that are supposed to happen between Hol Horse sticking his fingers up Polnareff's nose and then the group falling unconscious and bleeding. Hell, even Hol Horse was skeptical over this, but before he could say anything else, Boingo hides in this one crate, and then Polnareff shows up behind Hol Horse with Silver Chariot's blade right at his neck. It seems that he was aware that someone was following them, so he went off to see who it was. But before Hol Horse can use his Emperor to attack Polnareff, Silver Chariot slams him on the back onto the wall, and Polnareff grabs onto his arm so he doesn't do anything funny. But since he knows that Hol Horse wouldn't show up unless he's with someone, he asks him where his partner was. Now, even though Boingo was hiding in the crate, like, not only was Tohth sticking underneath it, but his fingers were showing, which was a very stupid mistake. Because did he not know that his fingers were like showing at the edge of the crate? And unfortunately for them, Polnareff notices that someone is under the crate, but this gives Hol Horse the opportunity to shove his fingers up his nose, which he does so, which was honestly probably one of the funniest scenes in the episode so far. But then he doesn't know what happens next. He doesn't know what to do next because he doesn't know, like, the events that are gonna lead to Jotaro and the others falling unconscious and bleeding. Speaking of which, the others were heading towards Hol Horse, so he didn't know what to do, and that is where the episode ends. Yeah, that was it. That was a strange way to end the episode. So overall, this episode was very funny, definitely entertaining, but was it as funny as the Oingo Boingo episode? Well, no, not really, but I did like the comedy used in the two-parter so far. I was a bit skeptical with Boingo and Hol Horse working together, but they do seem to have some sort of chemistry together, and they at least make a pretty good comedic duo. The funniest part of the episode was definitely Hol Horse sticking his fingers up Polnareff's nose. That was freaking hilarious. Although you can't really blame Hol Horse for thinking that these predictions are ridiculous, even though they are 100% accurate. But according to Boingo, the predictions have to happen. If someone tried not to follow these predictions, then they would suffer even more. Boingo also said that Oingo failed because he didn't trust the comic and transformed into Jotaro, which I don't believe that. I think the prediction on Tohth from that Oingo and Boingo episode was predicting Oingo disguised as Jotaro. Also, Jotaro wasn't there. He went to the hospital by himself. So Oingo had no choice but to transform as Jotaro. If he transformed into anyone else, Joseph and Polnareff would have been very suspicious and tried to kick his ass. Also, I like to think that he did have faith in his brother Stan's ability. It's just that he was very slow in planting that orange bomb. I mean, if he had hurried up, he probably wouldn't have gotten himself into that situation. This episode made me a bit more skeptical on the stand's Tohth. Yeah, I know it's a stand that can predict the future, the near future, but its predictions sometimes come off as vague, and it apparently didn't predict the events that happened right between the events that it predicted. In fact, why didn't Tohth say that Hol Horse kicked the woman on the back of her neck because there was a scorpion on her neck? Why didn't Tohth predict the scorpion? Like, I don't get that, really. But still, I like the shenanigans between Hol Horse and Boingo, and especially like the comedy so far in the episode. But the best part of the episode was definitely the beginning part with Dio. Seeing the scene made me remind me how much I liked Dio as a villain, because his mere presence alone was just enough to make Hol Horse scared. He did calm himself a bit, but he was still like sweating and shaking and sent shivers down his spine. But the episode also revealed that he hasn't gained full control over Jonathan's body. The left side of his body is not completely his, so he's not ready to take on Jotaro and the others just yet. So I guess once we get to the final fight with Dio, Jotaro and the others might be able to use this as an advantage to kill him. Also, what I like about this scene is that out of all the minions that we've seen so far, Hol Horse is the only one that hasn't fully pledged his allegiance to Dio. I mean, sure, he was in it for the money just like some of the other minions that we've seen so far, but he was the only one that we've seen so far that resisted Dio's influence. I mean, he wasn't going to sell his soul to Dio, he was going to shoot him and kill him, but unfortunately, you know, that didn't work. But he got the sample of Dio's power, and that was enough to fully pledge his allegiance to him. Speaking of Dio's power, how he was able to get behind Hol Horse. Well, I kind of know how he did it, but I'm not going to say it because, you know, it will be a major spoiler. But let's just say I didn't know about the world's ability. I would have assumed that Dio used some sort of teleportation technique, because Hol Horse said that it wasn't speed, because if it was, then the cobwebs would have been torn. One thing's for sure, I'm definitely looking forward to the later episodes when Jotaro and the others finally confront Dio. Oh man, I can't wait for the final battle. It's gonna be freaking awesome, and I really wish I didn't know about the world's ability, because then I would be even more excited and more hyped when the world reveals himself and its ability. But seriously though, I'm really looking forward to the final battle. It's gonna be awesome. Now, the animation and artwork, I thought it was good, but there were times where I could have sworn that the Oingo and Boingo title on the comic book was there, but then it like disappeared. So I don't know like what was up with that. But we also get this strange, bizarre artwork that featured on the comic book as well. But I especially like the animation and artwork used on the comedy scenes, and especially the beginning scene with Dio. I especially liked how they animated his presence and this dark aura. His face is still shadowed, which is total bullshit because we all know what he looks like. I mean, come on, just reveal his face already. But I also like the symbolism as they showed like the cobwebs when they were behind Hol Horse, representing himself as a fly caught in a web and Dio becoming, you know, like a spider. But as for voice acting, I thought it was really good. It was great to hear Motoko Kumai reprise her role as Boingo, and Hidenobu Koichi reprising his role as Hol Horse, but also hearing Takehito Koyasu reprising his role as the main villain Dio. It was great to hear him again. As for the music, I thought it was pretty good, especially worked well with adding the tension at the beginning scene with Dio, but also with the comedy scenes as well. I'm also very happy to hear a new version of the Oingo Boingo theme, this time featuring Hol Horse. And I gotta give kudos to Hidenobu Koichi for singing as Hol Horse. It's actually pretty good. So overall, this was a funny episode, pretty good. Nothing groundbreaking, but still a good, entertaining episode overall. So next week's episode, it seems that Hol Horse is gonna get himself out of this situation somehow. I don't know what, but the subtitles did mention something about a car accident. I don't know how that's going to happen, but I'm looking forward to seeing how how this is going to conclude. So tell me guys, what do you think of this week's episode of Stardust Crusaders? Did you like it? Did you hate it? What did you think of Hol Horse and Boingo working together? And what did you think of the beginning scene with Dio? Did it get you really excited for the final battle? I know it did for me, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing the world. Oh man, it's gonna be so awesome. Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to like the video if you like it, and subscribe to more videos, and be sure to check out my Facebook fan page and Google+. So yeah, that is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stardust Crusaders episode 36. I'm gonna respond 27, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.